Madam President, ladies and gentlemen, the European Parliament has been consistently calling for an EU-wide mechanism which would allow for imposing targeted sanctions against individuals and entities that are involved in grave human rights violations. Therefore, I welcome last year's adoption of the EU Global Human Rights Sanctions regime, which some of us in this House prefer to call simply the EU Magnitsky Act. This regime should be part of a coherent and clearly defined strategy that considers the foreign policy objectives of the EU. It needs to reflect new challenges and threats to human rights violations such as corruption, abuse of state emergency powers or violence against human rights defenders. We as European Parliament would like to see an efficient and consistent use of the sanction regime, which decisions in the Council taken by the qualified majority vote. With this in mind, I would like to address the High Representative and the European Commission with the following questions. Number one, what are the experiences in implementing the EU Global Human Rights Sanctions regime? What is its place in the EU's external policy toolbox, and how does it relate to other EU sanctions frameworks? Number two, how are the uniformity of criteria and consistency ensured in the regime's implementation, especially with regard to the listing and delisting of persons, entities and bodies? Number three, how does the European External Action Service plan to involve Parliament? Number four, will the European External Action Service set up an EU-level advisory committee and outline guidelines for the involvement of civil society organizations in proposing and providing evidence? Does the EAS envisage a mechanism for protecting those organizations or individuals? Number five, would the Commission consider enlarging the scope of the regime, taking into account the new United Kingdom's global anti-corruption sanctions regime? Number six, would the External Action Service and the Commission be ready to reintroduce the proposal to use qualified majority voting to impose sanctions? And finally, question number seven, what cooperation has been undertaken with like-minded countries? What will be done to ensure close cooperation and consistency with external judicial institutions and international supervisory and monitoring structures in implementing the regime?